Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Feel like throwing up a little bit, but it's okay. Today, I would like to talk about doing small things with great love. If you're familiar with this quote, it's actually by Mother Teresa. She said this. But yes, I was inspired to give this talk because I had a conversation with my mom, who my parents came last week. So it was nice to have a conversation with them. And actually, whenever I am with them, I always feel reconnected to God. I definitely feel so much love from them, and I don't know, it just helps me become more reflective and just take time to remind myself my goals and who I want to be, and kind of just redetermine, So I always get that boost whenever I'm together with them. So yeah, that's why I was inspired to give. I think it's insane for me to be up here. I felt like barfing the past 3 nights. No joke. I was just so nervous. My hands are shaking right now. But anyways, who am I to go talk? But I just felt inspired. I thought, better tell Pastor Charles right away that I'm inspired, because I'm going to chicken out, So he made sure to announce it last week, so I could not. Get out of it. So I think that was wise. Thank you. But anyways, so that's my talk with my mom inspired me to give this sermon. We were talking about Abraham from the Bible, if you're familiar with his story. God asked him to make 3 animal sacrifices to restore Adam's family, Noah's family, and also his own. So he chose the dove to represent the formation stage, which is kind of like the first blessing to mature oneself. He chose the lamb, which symbolized the growth stage, which also kind of like the second blessing, multiplying. And he chose a cow to represent completion stage, which is like the third blessing, which is to man and nature. Having dominion over nature. So he chose these animals, and God asked him to divide them, cut them in half, divide good and evil, so that the world can be restored back to God. So it was supposed to be pretty simple. But Abraham, it was interesting that Abraham chose to cut the biggest animals first. And this is what my mom and I were talking about. Oh, that's interesting, Imagine him he was probably okay, I probably have until sunset, and sundown. Sundown to really cut these animals up, and I'm gonna cut up this cow, the biggest one, and I really want to impress God, show him, I got this mission. So he, probably starting, he's like, oh, geez, this cow has heavy bones, it's taking a long time, really cutting through it, and it's actually a little bit more overwhelming and exhausting than he thought. He's getting through the lamb now, and imagine he has this whole table, bloody table, and he's got legs over here, probably covered the dove, and the leg lamb covered the dove, and he's probably okay, I think I did everything. And then, he's like, I'm exhausted now, and then he's going to sleep, and as he was dozing off, he was probably shoot, the dove. I forgot the dove. And then he's like, but you know what? I did the bigger ones first, so I think God would totally overlook the dove. It's so small, it's fine. So, the next morning, God was like, that's not cool, man. He was like, you should have cut the dove. You have to cut all of them, So, therefore, I'm sorry. you have to give me your one and only son. I'm saying this pretty like casual, but that's a huge price to pay for forgetting something that he thought was so small. But luckily, because he showed his willingness, God was just lenient that day, fortunately, and said, okay, it's okay, don't do it, And he didn't have to sacrifice his son. But imagine if he did, how horrific, what a lesson that would have been for him. So yes. Let's see here, where am I? So we don't want to repeat history and make the same mistake as Abraham by, make the same mistake as Abraham by focusing only on the big things. Here I am, sorry. So I think it's easy to feel, the story helped me realize, I think it's easy to feel like we must do big things all the time to really impress God. And in order to make him proud. But then just like Abraham, it would be so easy to overlook the small things and feel like the front line is not at things we can do from home even. So I feel like when we overlook something that small, then something bigger, things that we love have to pay the price, just like how Isaac was going to have to go, be sacrificed. For example, Peter and I have quite a lot of friends where, I feel like a lot of our parents in this movement, we want to really show God and true Father, true Mother, Father Moon, and Mother Moon, the greatest offering. So a lot of parents that went out on missions, but then weren't really at home a lot. Our friends kind of had to pay a certain price because they weren't there to always educate and show exactly the love that they want to receive. So therefore, that they don't have that strong of a relationship now, the parents and children. So that's kind of like the point that I'm trying to make here, that if we don't work on the small things, which represent like the first blessing, things that are part of me that I can work on, and who I can affect immediately is my family, right? Our life at home, then it'll be very difficult to show true results. So that's why I feel like if we work on the small things, it will eventually lead to accomplishing the other blessings. You have proof, and it's a solid foundation. Sorry, you should see my notes here. It's crazy. So that's why I believe, like, if we can make ourselves strong, mature people, and really raise our families strong and with a godly standard, then we can influence everybody that we meet naturally. And they become our extended family members. We create strong relationships with them, and their families will do the same, creating that example, affecting other families, and then we can really reach a world that's God-centered. But I feel like just like Abraham, we have this I think a beautiful heart to want to do the most impressive thing, to really get the biggest offering, but then we really skip vital steps, just like he did. And then eventually kind of having to go backwards, and having to do it all over again. So does this tend to take more time? Yes, a whole lot more. But, we hear the sayings all the time, Rome wasn't built in a day, and take this world. God created this world. It took a long time. I mean, look at the details of like a simple leaf. It's so complex. There's no way he was just like, bam, I'm done, you know. No way. It took so long, so much love invested in everything that we have in this world. So why not build our own foundation with ourselves and our family the same way that God created this world? We have to take time. We cannot rush anything. There are no shortcuts. So how can we not exhaust ourselves like Abraham did? Because, yeah, he definitely gave himself quite a job by just jumping and really, like, shoot, I have to restore this world. It's all on me. Like, what a weight to carry. And I believe that's by focusing on small, daily, I think that's the key word, daily actions. Doing small, daily actions with great love, like Mother Teresa also said. So, doing small actions with a bigger purpose in mind can be so powerful. And then you can teach your children to do the same way, to think with that kind of mind. So if some examples are, if you even make yourself say one thing you're grateful for a day, especially on those bad days, I think your spiritual health would be pretty good. You look pretty healthy. And but it has to be daily. And also spending time with family. This is a point that Peter and I have to work on. Like, it's so easy to just, switch on that tube and eat dinner at the same time instead of making it an opportunity to ask your kids or each other, spouses, how was your day? And making a conversation of making a valuable time out of that. That would definitely, if you do this daily, your relationship with each other would be stronger and a lot more open. For marriage even, if you give your wife or your husband a daily back rub and you say, I love you, you actually vocalize your love, you're definitely going to come out with a stronger marriage. So, daily acts of service, I think that's pretty powerful. You can do this also with just going out the door and whoever you meet. You don't have to know them. You can smile, Smiling is so powerful. Isn't it interesting that our face, like we're not able to see our own face? We need a mirror. It's because God made this face for other people, So, smiling is so powerful. Opening the door for somebody, or having a conversation with the cashier. These kind of things. But yeah, to give a personal, or my family told me recently, my sister's song. She gave a cool testimony recently of how powerful one act can be. She has 3 kids, and they're on the 3rd floor of an apartment, so it's not ideal because, they want to run around, make noise. But, unfortunately, they're above someone who needs a lot of quiet, And it became so much like every time a noise would happen, boom, boom, boom on the ceiling, And it was like a little ridiculous, but, we don't know her situation. We can't judge. But it became a little ridiculous, I felt, because in the middle of the night, Drew fell off of his bed, and he was crying, So it's not like they were playing around or anything, but he was crying, and then boom, 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 It's just not a good feeling. So Song felt so overwhelmed by this. She felt dominated by it. She was just like constantly thinking about it, like, oh my gosh, she couldn't relax, And she's like, no, I can't let this consume me, I need to do something for this person. So she wrote an apology letter, and she gave these handmade goods to her, and she hung it on the door. She wasn't actually at home that time, but later that day, when she did receive it, she came up to her Song's apartment And she was just like, it was like a 180, because she has come up before, face-to-face confrontation, and saying, like, you got to deal with your kids' outside behavior. But yeah, she was just like, thank you so much. Wow, you didn't have to do this. Thank you so much. And ever since then, no boom, boom, boom on the ceiling. I mean, that's quite amazing, you know. So, of course, Song still, you know, is considerate with her kids, so that helps as well. But that just shows, you know, how powerful an act can be. I'm just going to give examples from my family. My mom also, every time she goes into a public bathroom, she always makes it a determination to make it cleaner than when she came in. And then she says, she always gives a little prayer saying, God, please take this small act and for world peace. She says that every time. And you know, she's not part of the UN or anything. She's not making like huge improvements or anything, but God can still use this. And because it not only shapes who she is as a person, but this kind of nature can be multiplied but with every single person she meets, you know. And we meet a lot of people in our life, you know, not 7.3 billion or whatever, but that's why we need each other, you know. So if we all have this kind of habit, then we can affect the whole world. So yeah, talking about our extended family, our world, even looking at each other, you know, we're not all related by blood, but, you know, looking at each other as aunts and uncles, you know, or like, oh, that's my cousin, or brother, sister, that makes a huge difference. And my siblings all work at the hospital, so recently, it's so easy to become a little bit heartless, I think, at the hospital, because, you know, you're working hard, taking care of, you know, elderly or people that are sick that are constantly needing something. But what's helped my siblings is having the attitude that they are my family. So that definitely keeps them going and maintaining a nice, you know, nice service for them. And recently, my brother, for the first time, had to deal with a deceased body. And it was such a crazy testimony to hear. And I almost felt like crying because Jin, right before he was going to prepare the body, he just put his hand and he was just like, you know, praying for his ascension for the spirit world, just as if it was his own uncle. And then after that, just giving that small little prayer, he started his work. And that kind of mindset can change everything, you know, and that's meaningful for that person's family too, even though they don't know. But if any of one of my family or my own body, I would want it to be treated the same way. So yeah, every day we should reflect, like, how can I better myself daily? How can I better myself today? How can I serve my family today, my community, or whoever I meet? And I think it's so difficult. Doing daily things, it's so easy to just, you know, overlook and feel like it's not that powerful. Oh, if I skip today, it won't do anything. But we know how, you know, something small, just if you even pile a penny a day, you know, it just becomes an increasing amount. So the same principle in life, you know. If we do good spiritual actions, we can see goodness spread much wider. So I bring this point to, just imagine if we make these kind of small actions within our own community here, how amazing and powerful that would be. I feel like, you know, recently we've been renovating a little bit, trying to make this building nicer and more inviting. But, I just want to have a mini heart-to-heart right now, because I truly believe that I believe anything strong is built on honesty, just like I try to do with Peter. So, I would just like to be a little bit honest today. I want to create a really warm and inviting atmosphere here. But I feel like, hold on. Where's my notes? Anyways, I'll just, speak from what I remember. So yeah, I feel like even though we made quite a few external changes, internally I feel like when we're on stage, it's definitely difficult to feel that this place is as warm as it can be and as inviting and loving as it can be. Yeah, so for example, good thing I didn't skip that. This is huge. Yeah, so if I were to be honest, I am being honest right now, I feel most of the time when I come to church, I look forward to leaving church. And I think that's because, I'm definitely, so I feel like going home right away, and I just don't feel personally that, we have a warm, loving environment. And I know that I became part of the problem because instead of expressing my feelings like I am now, I come to church with a closed heart. And I know my heart is on my sleeve most of the time, and I know many of you have probably felt that from me, especially throughout the years. In the beginning, I was pretty okay because, I had like the spirit of my family and my Chicago community, and I had that going, but it kind of burned out pretty quickly. And I just closed my heart, and I'm sorry for definitely not treating each and every one of you the best way, like family, because I definitely don't treat my family like that. I express right away if I have a problem. And I realized recently I should not do anything different. I should express the same way. If I truly believe you're my family, I should express this concern and what's on my heart. So I don't come to church heavy all the time, and I can smile freely, instead of forcing it. But I do feel like small things that we can do, and I don't believe we do things intentionally. We all have things going on in our lives, And then to see even once a week coming out of the blue and then, going into singing song, you have to be super cheery. It's kind of like, it's different than if we were one-on-one. I never feel anything but warmth when I have a one-on-one conversation with anybody in our church. But for some reason, as a whole, it's a little chilly, So I feel like this could definitely be worked on just by doing small things. And, just mentioning greeting, I definitely don't greet anybody anymore so willingly. I only do it if I'm cornered, And then I'm like, oh, shoot, we caught eyes. Oh, I have to now, And that's so bad. That's so bad. If I looked at you truly as family, I would want to greet you, Just like my parents came last week, I was so happy to see them. That's how I should be treating all of you. And that simply starts with a smile. That's the beginning of love. And a lot of the time I don't really see, not just for myself, but I don't see us smiling enough with each other. And I think, the band definitely is fueled by give and take. I think if you go to any concert, nobody would ever be like, yeah, and clapping if the band was just like not even smiling or having any give and take, It needs, the fuel of a band needs interaction. So I think that's very difficult. We definitely have different cultures mixed among us that, we're not all going to be like, whoa, But even clapping, if you clap, we'll know that that's like a sign of love. And then we'll feed off of that, And maybe I could be a little bit of a cheerleader. Pastor Charles asked me asks me all the time, maybe you could be a cheerleader. That's so not my nature. But I think if I were to see, smiles out in the audience and people making the effort to clap, even just coming up to the front even, we feel like we're diseased up here a little bit sometimes, Everyone's going to the back, fighting for the back seat, Anyways, you get my point. I feel like even just clapping can show us that, okay, you're there, you want us to perform, we are needed here, we can do this, make a great atmosphere for whoever's going to give the sermon. And in return, I think we would want to be more professional. We have to step it up here. No more these clothes. We got to be nice and to really treat the stage like God's stage, right? So, but I think it's just hard to grasp that motivation if there's no give and take, which is powerful. And then I think a lot of us make excuses. We have busy lives. I could make the excuse also. I have 2 kids now, boys sleeping up here. I shouldn't give a sermon, Or you hear, especially when there's a family in need in our community, it's so difficult to sometimes make the time to visit them and give them just a basket of fruit, or just to make sure, having a conversation, make sure that they're okay, or even a phone call if you cannot have that time to visit. But I think this is definitely missing. I know, there are some members that would like to even take it on, but then they themselves haven't received enough love to have their cup full to be doing such acts as well for our community. So we need to do more things out of kindness, I heard Uncle Monty, right? He got his tumor surgically removed recently. I had no idea if it wasn't for another member that told me that, made that effort to visit them. So that right there is an amazing, I'm sure he felt so much warmth. But imagine if we all did that. What an overwhelming, amount of love that person would receive. And I believe spiritually he could be cured that way too. Having that give and take constantly with goodness and love, that's what we need to be seeking daily, and giving daily. So we fill our own cup and then empty it, right? But yeah, I think many times it's easy to make excuses, especially, I think a lot of churches it's run by volunteering, and I think it's kind of easy for Peter and myself to just take it on. We just have that nature, but that's not good either, because everything should be involved as a community. But sometimes when we do ask for help and it's not there, then it gives us even more of a reason to, we'll just do it ourselves. But I'm sure this is not good for us eventually, because it burns us out as well, and we don't want to be like that. Anyways, an act of true love is never given out of convenience. Never given out of convenience. Always when it's the most inconvenient. If you do that, that person feels absolute true love. And I feel like if we do that within our community, I feel like everything just clicks together. Just like I was saying earlier, how if we work on ourselves and our families, creating this kind of atmosphere, just like dominoes, it'll start knocking down the other blessings, reaching out to our community and other churches, having the energy to even witness and, and then affect the world. So we keep skipping ourselves, nurturing ourselves, because, I can definitely see right now, we all look a bit tired, And that's okay. You guys have been, running on empty fuel, I feel like. But it's because you have that heart to want to, show God your love and everything. But you need to take care of yourselves. We need to take care of ourselves. I feel like, it's so easy. We wanted to, probably shouldn't say this, but we wanted to quit a long time ago. But I think, we just kept pushing it, even if our fuel was on empty. But that's not right. No, that's why our church doesn't function like a proper church, I think. We can't run on empty fuel. We need to take care of ourselves and each other, and it will show. It will show. And maybe, we need to do, even if it starts, like, even though we're on empty right now, and we have to start on empty, if there's some if you receive, something from somebody else, that usually doesn't happen, that'll definitely give you a boost probably, Or I suggest to reach out to your family or whoever you feel true love from, and maybe make it a condition to reach out to them daily until your cup is full, like I've been doing with my family. So if my parents didn't come, I would not have the courage to give this talk right now. But I was definitely, my cup was full. I felt so good. And I felt like, okay, I want to definitely make this opportunity of a new start with renovating externally, but make this also an internal new start for myself, and make a proper relationship with my community, with you, with my family, my extended family. So, I hope that in our conversation, I gotta tell you now, since I'm being honest, if we can't, I feel like since I'm being pretty vulnerable now, I don't know how each person is going to take this. Maybe nobody thinks anything's wrong with our movement, or our church, our community right now. I don't know. But anyways, I know that if I make the effort, I just hope that I can feel something back, because, when you put yourself out on a limb and there's no one there to catch you, you're going to fall pretty hard. And, I just hope that we can support each other, show more support, and, make this new start together. So, to see each other as extended family, as brothers and sisters, and let's do small things with great love in our community. And, I truly believe we can feel God dwelling here. So, thank you very much.